The reason why these crappie are so shallow is because it is windy. When it's windy like this, crappie, even in the fall, will get really shallow, just a couple feet below the surface many times. Of course, the wind helps me right here. These fish ain't very deep at all. They're just, like I said, they're ranging anywhere from 2 to 3 feet deep, and that's it. Real shallow today. And that's because of the weather conditions. Wind will make them shallow up. Pushes a lot of bait up shallow is what happens. There he is. Golly. Yeah, this wind has drove these crappie right by the bank. It'll do it most every time, especially in these water temperatures here on the Tennessee River. That fish was real tight to the bank, just like springtime. Now I'm going to let that one go. That one's probably about 9 inches. Here on the Tennessee River, 9 inches is legal to keep, but that's just a little bit too small, I think. A little bit too small to keep. Let's let him go. All kinds of shiners right here. Yeah. Golly. Oh, me. That's not a bad one right there. I was just talking to myself, folks. My goodness. And in doing that, well, we caught a crappie. Let's see what. That's a good fish right there. That fish was real tight to the bank. And that's the way I've been catching a lot of fish here lately like that. Really tight to the bank. Let's go ahead and put this one in the bucket right here. That's a nice black crappie. And I'm out for supper. That's probably about 11 inches long right there. Well, folks, that's what we're after today. One of my favorite fish right there. That's a black crappie. Good eating size fish. Let's get him back on ice and talk about it. Today is a very windy, as y'all can tell, blustery fall day. Okay, the water temp is at 55 on the surface. This water is getting cold, folks. Real cold. And this is the time of the year that I love the crappie fish. Really, right now and all the way through winter. But what I caught that fish on is a little old bitty cheap Bass Pro Shop 1/16 of an ounce underspin. You can get these at Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop. And on it, I have, this is a little Z-Man bait. Now for Worm Z, or it's kind of a new bait to me. And I've cut about 1/2 of an inch off of it. It's a Last-Tech. Normally I like tough baits when it comes to underspins, because you're always getting a bite, and plastic just don't last long on underspin. Now, the reason why I've selected white is because it's sort of an overcast day today. I love white or pearl. Now here comes the sun. Finally. Well, what about that? We may have to change up. But this is a perfect situation. Chartreuse and white, or chartreuse and pearl, is a great combination on days like today. Now this is a little Indiana blade that's on this bait right here. Little Indiana. So what does an Indiana blade mean? Well, it's an oblong teardrop shaped blade. And what it has is vibration and flash. A Colorado blade is more almost perfectly round. It is for vibration. A willow leaf, well, it's mainly for flash. So really today I'm wanting a little bit of vibration and a little bit of flash. I believe that's what I need. And I want to keep the profile very small, so that's why I have this little bait on this underspin. Now this underspin has a size 4 hook in it. It's a tiny underspin, A lot of different fish that eat it. Oh, bluegill, shell cracker, you name it. I hit this tiny underspin. We're going to turn back around right here and face the wind right in behind this point and concentrate on this short bank right here. Now, what I'm using is 8-pound test braid, and I have this bait tied directly to braid. And I'm using, y'all excuse me, this wind is really tough. But I'm using a uni knot right here. I've been tying the uni knot here lately. It's a good knot for braid, and it's strong. I mean, 8-pound test braid, I'm not worried about it breaking. Now, if I get hung up, I can pull this bait out and just straighten the hook back out and keep fishing. So that's the advantages. A lot of times they're using a little bit heavier line, stronger line. And I'm using a light action 6.5-foot rod and a Daiwa reel, 2000 size Daiwa reel. And that's it. That's all we're doing right now. And fish are scattered and have been for a while, but I have been catching quite a few fish on underspins. Now that the water temperature is cooling down into the 50s, there's no doubt that if this bait goes across one, it's Katie bar the door. They just love underspins this time of the year, folks. And there's a lot of different ways you can work it. Now, you can lift the bait up and then let it fall. This bait right here, I've tuned it. By tuning it, I get more action out of this bait right here. You can see how the swivel is almost against the body of that bait right there. I push it down. Usually they're at a 90-degree angle, but the blade don't spin as well if you do that. So I adjust it like that. The next thing I do, if there's any paint in the components, I'll dig it out so it'll free it up so that the spinner will fall on the fall. It's very important anytime you use an underspin that you have one that's free enough to when you make a cast, if you select to fish it this way, let it fall a few feet and then pick it up and then let it fall back. The wind's not letting it do it right now, but y'all get the gist. Just working it back, just sort of like you would a jig, picking it up and letting it fall. If an underspins, if the blade's not turning while you're doing that at all times, you're not fishing. But usually on the underspin, just a slow, there's a fish. It's a little crappie too. Look at there, little black crappie. But usually, what was I saying, on an underspin, a slow wind is all you need once you find the depth. These fish ain't very deep. They're about 3 feet below the surface. Now that he's just a baby. Let's let him go. But these are deadly baits. The only thing that I don't like about them, when you go to Cabela's, if you're going to look for these baits right here, folks, look at the swivel. Let me show y'all. I don't want y'all to waste your money on this stuff. But look at the swivel. If you see a whole lot of paint on this swivel right here, don't buy it. Because it is hard to get that paint out of those components so you can fish. It's very difficult to do that. There he is. Golly. I'm glad that wind settled down a little bit. I can feel these fish a lot better. Let's see what we got right here. I believe we got us a white crappie. Yep. That's a white crappie about 10 inches long. These white crappies a lot more scattered right now than the black crappie are, but that's going to be good enough to eat. A lot of people ask me the difference between a white crappie and a black crappie, you know, or show the difference, which I have before, but we'll go ahead and we'll pull one of these black ones out of here real quick and we'll show the difference. Okay, now a white crappie has about 5 or 6 spines right here. You can feel them, they're sharp. See that last one? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spines. Sometimes they'll have 6. And you can see that the patterns are different, folks. The patterns right here, you see some black lines going down vertically right here. And also the fish, the white crappie has a longer mouth or snout, a lot longer. Now the black crappie has just got specks all over him, no definite pattern. And let's count the spines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spines right here on it. Sometimes they have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 spines on this fish. So there's a big difference in between them. We'll go ahead and put him on in there because he's borderline big enough to eat, but he's big enough. I changed underspins. This is a 1/32 of an ounce. Big eye underspin. And instead of having a Colorado blade, or an Indiana blade, excuse me, on it, it has a willow leaf. Of course, different color right there. And I tell you what, I've caught several fish, boom, 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 mainly bass, and finally caught that little white crappie right there. So we'll see if this color right here, what I'm doing is I'm seeing what colors are going to hit. And I do that a lot. And so far I've found 3 different colors that they'll hit. And here comes the sun again. Make a cast in there. I believe there's another crappie or 2. Golly. They're just hammering the heck out of that, folks. There could be another white crappie in here, but a big one. That one that I kept, like I said, just borderline, but he'll eat. Let's run it back through there. There's another crappie. I'm fixing to say, let's run it back through there real slow. Oh, me. This is a black crappie, and a doggone pretty good one, too. Come on up here, boy. That's a good eating size right there. Okay. Y'all excuse me, I'm going to back off my hole. Right here, those fish is right there in that area right there. I don't want to spook them if I can help it. But yeah, let's put him in the bucket. Well, the bucket's right here, Richard. I brought it up here to keep from walking so far. I'm studying this, folks. That's 3 different colors that they're hitting. We might catch one right through there now. Let's reel it back real slow. Keep that rod tip down. I just missed one right there, folks. Golly. That was a crappie. Let's go back down through there again. I gotta have some redemption because that was definitely a crappie. Golly. They're in there. And that wind is, I tell you, this wind is something else. Let's see if we can make him bite. There he is. Golly. He hammered that bait. This is a good crappie right here. This is a little bit better than the last couple that I've caught. Matter of fact, this is a big crappie. Let's see if we can flip him. That's a big crappie. That might be the biggest one of the day. He absolutely hammered that bait. Golly, I just kept messing with them right there. The wind won't let me make just a perfect presentation. Yeah, that's the big one. Well, there might be a couple in there. He's 12.5 inches. You know, folks, the fact of the matter is, I like to use all lines. And on this channel we do monofilament, fluorocarbon, and braid. But when the conditions are real windy like this, catching crappie up shallow, especially when I'm throwing an underspin, I prefer braid 10 to 1 to all the other lines. The reason why is because there is no stretch, and it's much more sensitive. And I'll pick either 6 or 8 pound test braid, and usually I'll use a leader, but sometimes I'll tie it direct like we're doing today. Now the reason why I'm doing that, and have been for the last few videos, is to show that crappie are not line shy. I purposely use a high-vis line like this color right here, yellow, or chartreuse, or even, well, my favorite is called frost, which is just white. It shows up against water, definitely pronounced where I can see the line. I'm a line watcher. I can see that line jump before I can even feel the strike. And that's important when you're talking about fishing for crappie. In fact, let me go as far as to say it. Now today they're hitting the bait hard. It's just a thump, no doubt about it, but they don't always do that. A lot of times you'll just feel a little bit of pressure or a small tick. If you really don't pay attention, he'll blow it out before you set the hook, oftentimes, especially when they're inactive. Because this bait right here will catch inactive crappie. There's just something about them looking up. You remember now, crappie feed up. There's something about them seeing that spinner spinning above them that will draw a strike even from an inactive crappie. There he is. This is a good fish right here. Good fish. What I had to do right here is just repetitively cast to get this fish to bite. And it's done slicked over to where these fish are real hard to catch. Up here shallow, there's a good little fish right there. Good eating size fish. No doubt. Look at there. Broad, beautiful fish. But I started right here and just repetitive. I hooked one right there, lost him. And figured there's another fish there, but they wasn't. So I just kept combing in this area and finally triggered a bite. That's the way you have to do it. And this underspin, like I've mentioned before, folks, is the kind of bait that'll get the job done. It'll cause inactive fish to bite. This fish actually was mad when he hit the bait. He was absolutely mad. Look at there, we're gaining up some fish. Okay. That's the spot right there. Let's come back real slow. There he is. There's another one. Same place. Doggone it, I'm running over stumps and everything else. That's a good one right here. I mean, same place. Come on in here. Good black crappie. Look here, folks, what a crappie. but I barely got him. Barely got him. I've changed colors once again. Let's put him in the bucket. Well, folks, I finally made it back. I ended up fishing till dark because when the wind quit blowing, I had about an hour right there of relaxation and caught a few fish while the wind wasn't blowing. But that wind, when the water's clear and the fish are up shallow, is really an advantage when it comes to fishing for crappie and making long casts. The fish bit a lot better than what I thought they would today. So that was a big blessing. Ended up keeping about 10, probably caught 25 or more. Had a ball. But an underspin is the type of bait where I would suggest anybody to have anywhere from a 1/8 of an ounce, a 1/16, 1/32. Those three right there. And get different brands. In other words, different styles. Finesse is probably my favorite, but believe it or not, those 1/32 of an ounce underspins are fantastic for crappie when the bite's really tough. It's just a great way to fish, and it allows you to cover a lot of water. You know, it's the same way as fishing with a bigger underspin for crappie. I want to say God bless each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for all the great comments, everything y'all done for this channel. Love each and every one of you. Hey, woo. I'm talking about woo-wee. Hey, woo! And remember, go fishing when you can, because it's good for you.